Hi there, welcome to Tarotland Soap Opera. Today I'm going to do a reading for Pisces energy. And like usual, we're going to do two rows. The top row I refer to as high vibe Pisces energy. The bottom row, a more worldly, shadowy Pisces energy. We all have free will and we have to make decisions in our life. And we can battle within ourselves. And some people could be battling within themselves right now. In our more high vibe nature, which can be having a little more hope and faith and belief in ourselves and in others and in our dreams and in love, we could want to move forward in life a little differently. But the bottom row can represent our fears or insecurities, or it might require us to step out of our comfort zone, and we all kind of like to stay in our comfort zone. So some people could be in that situation. Well, some people could be battling within themselves about, should I keep living life like this? Should I move forward? Some other people did move forward at some point in time in their life, and they could not be repeating a certain way of living life or viewing life. And, you heal, you grow, you mature, you look at life differently than you did before, and you move forward in life a little differently. And while some of those people could have moved forward in life a little differently, some other people who at one time had been going back and forth decided to keep living their life the way they were living it. If like, I'm not going to take that job, I'm going to stay here. I'm not going to do this, I'm not going to do that. And we're all kind of on our own journey of listening to our intuition about when it seems right to move forward with something, when not to. And then we can kind of go more to the extremes, which we'll go to in the reading, where some people are just more shadowy. They indulge their more worldly, immature nature. They're maybe could be bossy or controlling or prideful, manipulative, immature, self-centered, egotistical, self-indulgent. And they, of course, think that's just and fair, and then they think other people should indulge them in that way, too. So we're going to cover a lot of different areas in the reading, and, we've all known some people, and maybe some of us have been in all those different phases of life. So it's just to see the truth of who's who, where are we, and where are other people. To take the lessons that we've learned is what the Knight of Pentacles talks about. To the Page of Pentacles, to be willing to be a student of life. But to be a student of life, we have to be willing to learn lessons. So that means we have to get out of our defensiveness or our ego or something. And we have to see the truth of what it could be that manipulates us, that stops us from maybe having more hope and faith and belief in ourselves or loving ourselves. Let's look at the bottom row first. We have the Devil, which can be things that manipulate us, and it can be our more worldly nature, our fear, our insecurity, our lust, our greed, our pride, our ego, our codependency. And the Page of Pentacles is the reason why the top row's reading came out. So we could have gotten in friendships and relationships, and we could have been in a relationship with someone who we didn't realize is more immature or more codependent, because people created the illusion that that's not the truth of who they were. Like they had healed and grown and matured themselves. And we kind of bought into the illusion. The devil tries to create the illusion like they're God, right? And you should align with them. And, we go on that journey with those people, and we kind of learn they didn't free themselves, some of the people in our life. The Three of Pentacles I view as Capricorn energy, and the Devil is Capricorn energy. We're looking for people who have the tens in tarot can talk about people completing a cycle, to really see the truth. Live your life, have a certain way of living life, viewing life, and then learn the lessons you're meant to learn from that phase of life. And then detach from that phase of life, or ways of thinking or feeling or believing that you realize were not just or fair or healthy or loving. And high vibe Capricorn, free yourself from those things. And some people try to create the illusion they freed themselves from some things, that they healed or grew or matured themselves. But shadowy energy can be where people have the idea, I'm just going to try to create the illusion that that's the truth, because the devil lies, right? And People get in a relationship with them, and then eventually they find out, yeah, you didn't free yourself. My dream can't come into reality with you, and I'm moving away from you. And some people are just more codependent. They want you to be more codependent. If they're more immature, they want you to be more immature. If they're more about themselves or these things of the world or things they like to indulge in to feel better, and they want you to indulge in those things or make your life about those things, and then stay in that job, that friendship, or that relationship, because the devil can kind of represent all those things. The devil kind of represents these things of the world. And sometimes we have people that all they're offering us is things of the world. You should work here. You should be in a friendship or relationship. Don't believe in yourself. Don't free yourself. Don't believe in your dreams. Don't be more independent. Don't learn to love yourself. Let's do this instead. Because that's what I want to do. And that can be other people who are more codependent. They want you to be more codependent. They have things that manipulate them. They want those same things or people to manipulate you. And they don't want you to become more independent because they're not willing to maybe free themselves from whatever manipulates them. And that can be their fear, their insecurity, their defensive nature, their immature nature, their worldly focused nature, their more materialistic view of life, or other people in their life. And whatever those things are that manipulate them, they want you to let those things manipulate you also. Or they're abusive and unkind or intimidating and controlling and kind of full of themselves and turn their back on the world. In a sense, the world card, kind of like the Ten of Swords, closing out a cycle. Learn lessons at a phase of life. See when it's time to detach from a certain phase of life. Face your fears, your insecurities. See where you're kind of more codependent, immature, bossy or controlling or full of yourself or whatever. Learn those lessons. And then you will be kind of in the wheel of fortune. The wheel of fate will turn in your favor because you're in line with kind of universal energy of growing and healing and maturing yourself. And some people did that in workplaces, friendships, or relationships, and they're moving forward swiftly because they learned the lesson. I saw how something was unhealthy, was manipulating me, was more codependent, looking to the wrong things to be the answer in my life. And things maybe weren't moving forward the way I wanted, even though I could have wanted some things to move forward. I was seeing they weren't moving forward in that energy, so I became inspired to do this work, maybe within myself, to figure out, why would I keep staying here? Or keep living my life like this, or being in this friendship or relationship? And so then the Eight of Wands can be about learning lessons in life and higher learning and education. And so people got inspired to, I want to work through things that manipulate me because I don't want to keep repeating this pattern. I don't want to keep expecting. The Two of Wands can be, I have a dream, but I keep looking to what's unhealthy or unjust or unfair or not loving or superficial and shallow, or because of my fear of loving and believing in myself. I keep looking to other people maybe to love me, and I need to learn to love myself because otherwise I stay in more codependent energy, looking for other people to love me and validate my worth and value. And High Vibe Virgo of the Knight of Pentacles is kind of validating your own worth and value, investing in yourself to kind of grow and heal and mature yourself, to be inspired, to free yourself from things that manipulate you and maybe backstab you and people who've backstabbed you, to look at life from a higher perspective, to have some hope and faith and belief in yourself and give yourself that cup of love to keep moving forward, having hope and faith and belief in yourself. And at any time that we're in a friendship or relationship, some people could do this work within themselves and they're ready to kind of move forward in life a little differently. And there could be certain ways of living life that it's like, I don't really want to do that anymore. We've kind of been there, we've done it. I don't think it's kind of moving our life forward. And they try to inspire the people in their life to maybe see the truth of some things that could manipulate or control them that are kind of sabotaging them. Whether it's their fear, their insecurity, their defensive nature, prideful nature, worldly nature, other people in their life. But we can't make other people see the truth. If some people, there are some people in the world who harness these energies in a shadowy way, a more worldly focused way. That's their truth. And the Ten of Swords is Gemini energy, which talks about our free will. In our free will, we have the free will to, we can make life just more about ourselves. And that's what these cards could be saying. Because Aries energy is about the self. Anybody, we all tap into Aries energy. Anybody in the world, regardless of what zodiac sun sign they are, some people could just be more about themselves. And they don't want to stop in the death card being more about themselves. They like being more about themselves. And it's more about them. Their wants, their needs, their lusts, their greed, their pride, their ego. And, that's their truth. They're just looking for someone else who agrees with them that it should be more about them. And if they can find someone who wants to make their life more about them, well, then they found the right person for them to keep moving forward with in a relationship. Some other people were already in a relationship with people who were like that. And they kind of realized my dream, Aquarius energy of the star card, kind of like the Eight of Cups of Pisces energy. I don't think my dream is going to come into reality here. And so some other people detached from being in a relationship with those people. Some people are just kind of shadowy Scorpio. They can be kind of intimidating, narcissistic, emotionally shallow and superficial. And the Devil card looks just like the Lover's card, but instead of an angel there's the devil. And the people in the Devil card have chains and shackles on them. So there can be love there. We can love a lot of people in our life. We could love a job. We could have lots of things we love about the world. And there can be things we'd really like to make our life all about. But we'd know we'd be kind of sabotaging our inner child nature and our dreams coming into reality if we kept indulging some of those things we might like to indulge in, right? Some people saw the truth of it. If they were indulging themselves, being kind of immature, bossy, controlling, prideful, egotistical, some of those people could have seen the truth. I need to grow up and mature myself. It's not all about me. Hopefully some people did that at like age 5 to 8 years old. But some people never kind of saw the truth of it, and they kept being just kind of more about themselves. And we have to realize the truth. It doesn't matter how old some people are. They might look very stable and abundant and shining and victorious in the world, but they could still be people who are unwilling to be a student of life and might have issues that they kind of drag with them, but they refuse to see the truth of it. So shadowy people can try to present themselves as much more stable, grounded, healed, balanced, mature people than they are. But some people, the truth is, they want it to be more about themselves. They want to maybe not do love, because if you do love, in high vibe, the pentacle would be truth and love. That's how I can manifest my dreams into reality. Having hope and faith and belief in myself, putting in work and effort, which is also what the Pentacles talk about, to grow and heal and mature myself, but willing to be a student of life so my more shadowy, egoic, self-centered, immature, prideful, egotistical, lazy nature, whatever, doesn't get in the driver's seat of my life. Because I do have this dualistic nature in my Gemini nature. And I have learned these lessons in life. And I do have a dream. And I'm not going. It's like standing up to our own shadow nature. Because we love and believe in ourselves. No. I'm not going to keep indulging you. You try to get me up in my head, and you try to backstab me, and you try to make me not have hope and faith and belief in myself and love myself. And some people saw how they just needed to stand up kind of for themselves, because again, Aries energy is about the self. I need to keep constantly putting in work and effort to make sure high vibe energy talks about being independent, that I keep being free and independent of my own more shadowy nature, because my shadow nature doesn't have my best interest at heart. It's like you can look at life like we're a vessel, we're a human being, but there's all these thoughts and emotions. There's jealousy, envy, revenge, pride, ego, love, lust, greed, compassion, understanding. All those energies exist in the world, but those energies can't have life until we embody them and invest in them within ourselves. Then we act out hope, faith, belief, love, lust, greed, pride, ego, jealousy. And it's like shadowy energy wants to kind of be in the driver's seat of our life. And it's like, no. In my free will, I choose to love and believe in myself, to keep myself from getting tipped out of balance, to maintain more balance within myself and stay more in favor of my hopeful believing nature. Because if I don't, there's all sorts of people in the world that could even get out of things that they're in to get in a relationship with you. People can be attracted to people who are more hopeful and believing and loving, just, fair, encouraging, and supportive. Hey, if you ever get yourself kind of tipped out of balance where you don't kind of love and believe in yourself, yeah, hey, here I come. Here comes the devil. I want to be in a relationship with you. Yeah, let's move forward. Let's move forward in a more shadowy way. Let's indulge ourselves in these things of the world. Let's be in the relationship more for these worldly reasons. You don't have hope and faith and belief in you can manifest your dreams into reality. You should be in a relationship with me or work here. We will have these things of the world, because that's what the devil offers us, is just the things of the world. Because the devil doesn't offer love. And you could have a lot of stability, a lot of security. You could look like you have things that other people could be jealous of, is what the devil talks about. But is it aligned with truth and love? Some people might be jealous of it. Other people aren't jealous of it at all. If some people have those things. I think you people are superficial and shallow and egotistical and materialistic and immature. Yeah, no, I don't want anything to do with it. I'm moving on. We have free will to decide who and what we want to invest our time, energy, and effort into based on in our free will nature of what we think is just and fair and kind of what we love, how we want to live our life. And more shadowy people do not like it when other people kind of love and believe in themselves. They can like them being in a relationship with them. You be loving and encouraging to me, but don't become more independent of me. The devil still wants you to make it more about them. High vibe energy represented by God at the big picture. You don't have to have a religious belief system, but we live in a world of duality where those energies at the big picture, which we refer to as like God and the devil, battle with each other. And we as human beings have the free will to decide which ones we're going to invest and align with. High vibe energy wants us to be free, to know our worth and value, to love ourselves, wants us to keep giving birth. The one pentacle can mean keep giving birth to new things, and I'll keep moving forward with you, and I'll keep supporting you and encouraging you and loving you. Let's see where this can go. Shadowy people want it to just be more about how it benefits them, or indulging in these things, or making your life about them, or these more worldly things. Because in order to really give birth to something new, You have to detach from something old. You kind of got to see what are the good building blocks to take with and what aren't the such good building blocks to bring with. What are kind of the shadowy things? Where am I maybe more about myself? Thinking it should be more about me. And we have to get out of our ego. And we need to quit being more about ourselves, close out that chapter, and realize it's not supposed to be more about me. And if I want to be in a relationship with loving people, I should be investing in them in truth and love. If I'm in a romantic relationship, why am I in it? For the status, the ego, the image, someone to indulge myself in? Or is it truth and love? And the people who are motivated by truth and love don't want to be in a relationship with people who don't want it to be more about truth and love. But the shadowy people could think, well, I think that's just and fair. How about you be loving and just and fair, and I get to be kind of fearful or defensive or in my ego, but I get to move forward with you anyway. You kind of indulge me in my being defensive to being more authentically loving. How about I look like love, quack like love, dress like love, treat you like love, but it ends up feeling like someone's just more indulging themselves in a relationship, because if they're still operating from their more egoic defensive nature, which is shadowy Leo energy within themselves, high vibe Leo is kind of where you've seen the truth of those things. You've healed from those things. You've grown and healed and matured yourself, put an end to those things manipulating you. Things from your past or past pain and heartbreak or fear or insecurity, to really go on this adventure of being open to love and taking action motivated and inspired by love. And there's some people in the world who will never do that because they get hurt doing that. Nope, I'm going to turn my back on that. Those people can go. I will go try to find me someone else in the world who I think might not believe in themselves and their dreams. And we'll get in a relationship and we'll move forward, making our life more about these things we indulge in, make it more about the ego, the image, the status, the money, the materialism, or these things that we indulge in that we think are the answer to our being happy, because we didn't want to see the truth and be inspired by love. And if some of those people, whether it's a workplace who has employees that indulge them in poor behavior, or they're in relationships and friendships with people and they're kind of just on the same page. At any stage of our life, we could look at this as our life. When we were 15 and 18 and 21, we were like, yes, I completed one phase of life. I'm moving forward in this next phase of life. But if we become defensive to kind of going to the next phase of life and continuing to grow and heal and mature ourselves, then it's kind of our fear has stopped us from believing in our dreams. And that's when we didn't want to quit being more like an 18-year-old or a 21 or a 25-year-old, in some ways, we could have had some people in our life who moved on from us. And then eventually, we kind of might have moved on from some of the people when we were ready to move forward, right? And we're all kind of ready to move forward at different times. And so kind of like we're not on the same page at the same time anymore. And if it was just that people were kind of at a stage of life where they weren't, other people could have been a little more stable, grounded, a little more hopeful and believing in themselves, a little bit more inspired to listen to their intuition, where we or other people in our life at different times could have been more caught up in their head or their fear. We were kind of on different pages. If it was just kind of where we were kind of on different pages at different times, but people weren't really shadowy, bossy, controlling, manipulative, prideful, egotistical. If some of those people, as we go through life and we're all kind of growing up and maturing ourselves, there could come a point in time where sometimes people reconnect. It's like, oh, chick, dude, man, I thought you were going to keep living your life like that forever. And they're like, yeah, no, I did for quite a long time, but, I got out of it. Or you could tell someone that. Yeah, I did get kind of stuck in this certain phase of life for a long time. And maybe I didn't love and believe in myself. And maybe I was more codependent. And sometimes we just get caught up in people. And it's really hard because we can have love for them. And we weren't willing to walk away from them and give up on that dream. And we could have just, again, been a more codependent energy. But eventually, if it keeps staying kind of a shadowy relationship, eventually some people will become independent of them, and then they might communicate with some people in the world that, yeah, I kind of learned the lesson I needed to learn there, and I have become more independent, and I have learned to love myself, and I kind of learned what I needed to learn there. And the truth is, I can't change people. I can love people and I can be loving and encouraging to people, but those people have to be inspired within themselves to want to change. And sometimes, if you get in a relationship with someone and they are already kind of living their life whatever way they live it, well, if you kind of get in the relationship with them being in that energy, well, then you kind of do get yourself emotionally entangled up with someone. That's kind of Scorpio energy. And then it's hard to get out of it. But sometimes, we really wanted those things to work out the way we wanted. And we could have hoped other people would be inspired to heal or grow and mature themselves or change. And then some of those people weren't. And it's for us to learn that lesson. When you meet people and they show you kind of the truth of who they are, shadowy energy can kind of be where we want to live in denial of the truth and have these illusions. Oh no, I'm sure they'll change. Well, if we could get in a relationship with someone and we've closed out a cycle, a way of acting or behaving or treating other people, and we meet someone and they're still acting and behaving or in a certain way that, right? It's to see the truth of it. You can know all sorts of people in the world, but I'm not going to get in a more involved relationship with you anymore because I've already been there and done that. I'm going to keep moving forward in my truth. And if you ever work through, like, say someone's immature, someone's full of themselves, someone's got an addiction, somebody's whatever it could be, until I feel like I'm going to keep moving forward and kind of maintaining my independence of you, because how we want to move forward and kind of what our truth is and what kind of drives and motivates us right now is different, and maybe our emotional maturity level or something. I'm going to keep moving forward with my truth. And if you work through some of those things and at some future point in date you want to talk to me, well, I'll be willing to maybe talk to you to see what you have to say about that could have happened with some people in our life. And some people could say, well, that's great. I am so glad that you freed yourself. And you could tell people that too. I'm so glad you freed yourself from whatever those things were that manipulated you back in the day. But some people might say, well, you were working through that. I was moving forward. And I might be working with some people who I think are just and fair and loving and encouraging. And I've had this new beginning and I'm going to keep moving forward with them. And just like some people could tell you that, you could tell some people that. And, some people could be going through that right now. Some of you, when you got out of something, could have communicated with someone as you were moving forward in life. It's happening all the time in the world. Like, people are getting out of friendships, getting out of romantic relationships, quitting one job. And so whether you're a friend, a romantic interest, or somebody that somebody would like to work with, it's happening all the time in the world, that kind of this people going through these stages of life and coming out of certain stages and going into certain stages of life. And sometimes some people have to think about, well, if something didn't work out here, but then later someone kind of communicates with me that things have changed. It's kind of the wheel of fortune. Things have changed. Things aren't moving forward the way they had. Just like people could have had a job that they really liked and they didn't want to leave it, but because of some shadowy things going on there, people left. Well, then maybe they get rid of somebody who was kind of toxic, or that person moved on. Well, now the whole environment's kind of changed. And then, like, employers could reach out to people saying, hey, you want to come back and work here? And some people would be willing to talk to them. Well, what's changed and what's going on? And people could tell them what's changed. And then, just like people would have to make that kind of decision about, well, when that didn't work out and I moved forward in this new job, friendship, or relationship, then people have to kind of think about, how are things going with what I'm in, and how I'm living my life, how I feel about how I'm living my life. What about the people I've kind of invested in? Are those people who are inspired to move forward with me? Or have they kind of shown me that that's kind of not their truth? Well, if some of the people I've been trying to move forward with are showing me that that's not their truth, well, then I might be willing to let those people move forward without me. And maybe I would consider befriending, getting in a relationship, or hiring someone who at one time didn't keep moving forward with me or the company, right? Because things have changed. So it can go either way. High vibe people are less motivated to make a decision out of fear, insecurity, codependency, lust, greed, pride, or ego. And they don't want other people to want to invest in them for those reasons. I'm looking to work with people who look at life from a higher perspective, who are more independent of their more worldly, egoic nature, because I've already dealt with people who are like that. And I'm looking for people who still aren't kind of caught up in their head and conflicted about some other situation in their life that might have ended. They might not be in relationship with that anymore, and they are moving forward, but sometimes people want to get in a relationship with someone because a different relationship ended, and it's kind of out of shadowy reasons. I want to backstab that person, even though I know I might not want to be in a relationship with them. It's not a good reason. What is the truth of why people want to be invested with something or someone? Just because this didn't work, I'm coming over here to invest. Because I want to backstab those people. Some people get, the way some people think sometimes, which everybody could have done, I think, when they were more immature and younger. That person isn't in a relationship with me or doing things the way I want. I'm going to end the relationship with them, go get in a relationship with someone else, basically trying to manipulate them to stop whatever I think they need to stop, which if it's being shadowy or loving themselves, because I want them to be more codependent on me. And if they're not willing to, I'll find someone else who is. Well, the more high vibrational people in their life kind of work through the confusion and the hurt and the pain and the heartbreak. And it's like, I don't want to be in a relationship with someone who goes and gets in a relationship with someone else to try to manipulate me or hurt me or control me. And those people kind of see the truth of it. You had the free will choice in a relationship or a workplace, whatever, to be just and fair and open and honest and work together with me cooperatively. And you made the free will choice. I could do that. And in that way, you could look at the page as kind of humbling themselves. And some people aren't willing to humble themselves. And they decide, I have a different idea. I'm going to go do this instead. I'm not going to communicate with you. I'm not going to invest in you. I'm not going to work with you. I'm going to backstab you. And I think you'll be upset because your dream that you wanted to have come into reality isn't going to come into reality. And some of those people could almost think they're God in your life. And if you don't work with them, your dream won't come into reality. But what they don't realize, you're not more codependent and look at life from this more worldly perspective. You believe you have more things to work with in this world, and that's your creative, inspired, intuitive, loving nature. And to invest in love and loving yourself and kind of realizing you could have been in a relationship with some people that you loved, but it was kind of being in a relationship with them, being more what you had in common was that you were more operating from this more worldly view of life. I want these things in life. I want to manifest these things in life. And I certainly could have liked this person, been attracted to this person. But when you see the truth that they're not motivated and inspired by love, you kind of see that you have operate from a different foundational truth. And that though you could have had love for them and at one time wanted a dream to come into reality with them, you kind of realize your dream couldn't come into reality with them because they're not aligned and operating from their more hopeful, believing, loving nature. They're still more motivated and inspired by themselves or the world. And they, it's more about them or the ego or the image. So it's like, I need to go find the people who are more motivated, that I have these things in common with, that it's more motivated and inspired by having hope and faith and belief in ourselves and in love and in others. Those are the people I can really have my dream come into reality with. And so in our fire sign nature of self, I think we're all really pretty motivated by the world those first 30 to 50 years of our life, because we're kind of more tipped in favor about all these things of the world that we want to manifest, that we think will make us happy and we want to manifest. But sometimes we kind of compromised our truth, because we were attracted to people, because we wanted these things of the world, and because we could add love for people. Maybe we weren't really looking at life from a higher perspective, and we weren't really seeing that we kind of were coming at things from two different truths. And then a house divided can't stand. You have to have the same common truth. And that's when you kind of realize our truth is different, and how you want to move forward and kind of what more drives and motivates you, and how I want to move forward and what ultimately more drives and motivates me is different. And so some people did that and some people are doing that right now. We can always kind of distance ourselves from people and quit investing in certain things, but it can take time for the people who really did more authentically invest from love. It can take time to work through all of that. The Eight of Cups walks away from the Seven of Cups, which is Scorpio energy. We put in work and effort to try to bring a dream into reality, and it's hard to let go of that dream. And it's hard to work through the emotional confusion of someone who at one time we thought was more on the same page as us, and maybe at one time they were. And maybe that was their truth. But, things can change. People can be driving down the path of life and then slowly they kind of drift their life off into the ditch. And maybe they become more about themselves, or they become more caught up in things, or more caught up in the world, or whatever it could be. And then we're kind of not on the same page anymore. And it's like until you kind of work through that, I'm going to keep moving forward because we don't know if they'll ever get out of it. You know, for anyone else who's kind of driven their life off into the ditch or didn't love themselves or belittled and berated themselves or were more codependent on other people or codependent on other things to be the answer to make them feel better, when the devil gets a hold of you, it can be really super hard to free yourself. And it takes seeing the truth, and you might have to go through some really painful experiences before you're kind of willing to see this isn't working, is it? It's like, no, this is not working the way you thought it was going to work. This isn't doing what you thought it was going to do, or these people aren't who you thought they were. And it can be really hard to accept the truth of it and to move on. So we don't know. And I guess as time goes by, as some people we could distance ourselves from, the more we keep trying to move forward, maintaining balance, having hope and faith and belief in ourselves and in love, and we see some other people keep moving forward, not willing to take more inspired action in their life, not willing to speak the truth, not willing to invest in truth and love and keep being more inspired by the world or the ego or the image or whatever, the more we kind of see through the illusion and we kind of don't view them anymore the way we used to view them. And even if some of those people were to kind of want to reach out or befriend some people could be like, no, I kind of don't think I was, not like you'd have to tell them that, but it's just knowing that as time goes by, you kind of maybe realize that I wasn't seeing you clearly from the beginning, and as more time has gone by, the more clearly I saw the truth, kind of what more drives and motivates you. And I don't think it's truth and love, and I have become independent of you. I'm no longer in illusion about you. And I don't view you as someone that I want to work with anymore or someone that my dream could come into reality with. Can I be happy for you if you did free yourself from some things that used to manipulate you? Yeah, we need more people free of things that manipulate them and taking action more out of immaturity or ego, right? But I've moved on and I'm going to keep staying independent of you. And that person could be brother, sister, mom, dad, adult child, a friend, a place of employment. Because sometimes people will free themselves or detach themselves or see some truth, but they don't realize there was a lot more things. And if they didn't bring it up, it's like, oh, so how's this going? Oh, yeah, that's still going really well. And you're like, oh my gosh, you still don't see the truth of that, or how that or those people or whatever is still manipulating you, but you don't see the truth of it. So I think there's some high vibe people who did this work within themselves, and this process here could be doing that work, right? High vibe people want to be independent, to not kind of take that baggage into the next situation, right? And then when they're ready, then they're ready to go have a new beginning. And sometimes, some people, the Aquarius star card can kind of be about, looking at life from a higher perspective, putting things in perspective, looking at life from a higher perspective. But it can also be about healing. Well, some of people in the world were doing this, taking this time to heal and weren't making offers to maybe other people to get in a relationship because they wanted to work through this first. Well, some people were doing that. Some shadowy people in their life could have thought, oh, they're still not doing anything, so I'm going to keep doing this. Oh, they're still not doing anything. I'm going to keep doing this. It's like people who are like, well, I'll indulge in this and act like this and do this until I see that you're moving forward. Well, then I might put an end to this, and then I might think I can come towards you to have a new beginning with you or invest in you again. But as long as you're not moving forward, I'm going to keep doing this. What they don't realize is, well, they were doing that and the other people were healing. Part of that healing was kind of the seeing the truth of how these other people were acting or behaving. And by the time the other people start to move forward, some of these people, not, shadowy energy can be where we're not seeing the truth. We're not seeing things clearly. Maybe because we're in our ego or kind of full of ourselves. That by the time some other people start to move forward and have worked through their own shadow nature and the pain or the heartbreak or whatever, then when these people think, oh, okay, now I got to end this, I need to move forward and put an end to this and move forward with those people. By the time they do that, the other people have already closed out that chapter in their life and moved on. They just thought, oh, they're heartbroken. They're just kind of waiting for me to come back and get in a relationship with them. It's like, no, while you were doing what you were doing, I was healing and working through the illusions I had about the truth of who I thought you were. And I now have worked through the illusion. At one time, I might have viewed you as someone who looked at life from a higher perspective, that was more free of your more immature, prideful, self-indulgent, egotistical, immature ways of being. But as I was doing this healing and you were doing what you were doing, I kind of realized you're not who I thought you were. And this is who you really are. And I don't want to be in a relationship with someone like that. And I have learned to love and believe in myself during this process and maybe get out of my more codependent energy and looking to think that I need to work with you to have my dreams come into reality. I'm going to work with high vibe people in the world and my own hopeful, believing, loving nature, and willing to put in the work and effort to be a student of life and invest in myself and my own unique talent, skills, and interests. And I think the divine has a plan for my life, doesn't want me to do that, to see the truth and go invest my time, energy, and effort into people who I think are more on the same page as me. And if there's people in the world who are kind of whatever shadowy way of being, or workplaces where they have supervisors or just overall environment that's kind of shadowy, more and more of the high vibe people will leave. And the people who might be more fearful of listening to their intuition, they could stay longer than other people, but eventually those people will leave. And they might ultimately have people there who are just as shadowy as they are, or just out for the money or the status or the image, or here for the paycheck, don't give a damn about anybody else. If you're going to spend 8 hours a day with people, I would rather spend 8 hours a day with people who are a little bit more free of their more egoic nature, who are loving and encouraging and supportive. And the people who it's like, I'm here for the paycheck, I don't give a damn, I don't care how awful it is, you give me what I want, and when I'm not here, I'm away from here. And everybody's got different tolerance levels. Some people can put up with a lot more shit than other people can put up with, but I kind of think in a world of duality, if somebody's creating a little hell on earth, that means in a world of duality, other places must be creating a little more heaven on earth. I'm going to go invest over there, and I'm going to go look for different people to hang out with, or go look for a different job. And when I have the opportunity to move forward, I am going to move away from this. And then the other people can be mad that you weren't willing to keep indulging them. Why'd you leave this job? Why'd you leave this friendship? Why'd you leave this relationship? It's like, this might be your idea of the dream relationship, maybe because it more benefits you. But it didn't seem very emotionally fulfilling maybe in a worldly sense, money, status, image, being in a relationship or whatever, but I found it emotionally unfulfilling and feeling like I'm working together with people who are respectful, mature, more independent, more loving and encouraging, less prideful, less defensive, less immature, less controlling, less intimidating, less backstabbing, I think is a good day. And I would even rather take less to not be in that environment because these things of the world aren't worth it. And that's what some people can't relate to. What? But here you would have more. You would have like the devil. You'd have the Knight of Pentacles. Here you only have the Page of Pentacles. That's less than the Knight of Pentacles. I don't care. Life is about, in high vibe, it's about balance. Do I want some of these things of the world? Yeah, I want some of those things of the world just like everybody else does. But I'm not willing to sacrifice this for that. And other people are, so they can't understand it. Why did you give up this, or why would you give up this? And the more some people could have of things of the world, the more they could think that they can be shadowy. Oh, you won't leave, because these things are really important to me. Boy, I wouldn't leave if I were you. Yeah, well, you're not me, and I will leave. I am willing to take less of these things of the world if I can have these things. You know, people who work with me cooperatively, people who have more hope and faith and belief in themselves and in others and in love and more independent and more loving and encouraging and supportive and emotionally fulfilling to be around. Yeah, I would give up some of these things in the world. And that's where some of you could have been in relationships with people where it seemed like a dream could come into reality. But some people were up in their head. It might have had enough, but for some, where it's a mix of both, and there was the potential to bring a dream into reality if you keep putting in work and effort. But some people were really tempted more by things of the world, and it's like, I kind of want what I want now. And if there's some place I could go or a person I could be in friendship or relationship where I'd have more of those things of the world that I want, they were willing to sacrifice what could have been like a dream come true, because for some that really isn't what drives and motivates them. They really are more about the world and the ego and the image and the status, or being more indulged in a relationship. But the problem is the devil lies. And when we kind of go down that path thinking, oh, I don't have to temper my ego. I don't have to grow, heal, and mature myself. I don't have to be more just or fair. I can make it more about me. Or I can go indulge in these things. I'm sure it'll make me happy. They were willing to sacrifice one dream thinking that things would go in their favor. And to some degree, we can put in a lot of work and effort in the world to have certain status, image, whatever, and we can get those things. But those are the things then that we have. And we didn't really maybe put work and effort into having more balanced, loving things in our life. But also, for some people, their dream didn't come into reality. Again, the devil will tempt us with things of the world. And because we haven't learned to love and believe in ourselves and temper our fears or insecurity or ego, we give in to them. And then the devil's like, oh, sorry. Yeah, I'm not going to keep investing in you, or we're going to fire you and we're going to move on. Or I want to go find someone else who requires less of me, or more willing to indulge me, or has more money or ego or image or status. I just don't think in the world card that things turn out the way we want. For a long time, it might seem like they are, which might have been a gift that God was giving to the other people to let those people work through their issues to get back up on their feet and move on. And then once those people move on, it's like, okay, you know, whatever it was that they were working on that they thought was going to work out the way they wanted, yeah, that's going to come to an end, because now, even if they become independent of it in a way, if they try to get back in a relationship with the more high vibe people, the more high vibe people in their life have moved on. And then these people just have to make the choice. Am I willing to not repeat those patterns and move on with someone else and learn from that experience, with someone who might be at that same stage as me? You know, it's kind of like God trying to get the puzzle pieces that were kind of mismatched, and people were trying to squish them together, trying to get them unmatched because it's mismatched. You are ready to move forward in life differently. This person wasn't. They might have had things within themselves, friends, family, other people in their life that kind of tempted them. We can get mad at those people, but eventually we see it as a blessing, because they wouldn't be tempted to align with certain people if there wasn't a part of them that agreed with that truth and aligned with that truth. And we weren't maybe seeing the truth of it. So God had to use these people or other people to try to get us to see the truth, to get us out of there. And let those people go do that and then move forward however they move forward. But you were ready to move forward, so you needed to be set free. And even though it could have been painful and hurtful, it was all for your good purposes, because it wasn't going to turn out the way you thought anyway, but you didn't want to see the truth of it. So God kind of brought in the devil to tangle up some people so that you could be free. And then as you move forward, and it forced you to do this work within yourself, to love and believe in yourself and free yourself from things that manipulated you because you didn't want to repeat that old pattern with anyone else. It all helped you learn the lesson you're meant to learn so that you can go on to that next phase of life and try to find the people at that stage of life who are more on the same page as you. So what's coming up for the people who harness some high vibe Pisces energy, that are done indulging poor behavior in themselves or others, who have seen the truth, accepted the truth, gotten out of their ego, going to make offers to go other people? Doesn't mean all of them will work out the way we want, but that's okay. And everybody at that next stage of life is in their degree of shadow, or, it's kind of like, again, we go from age 18 to age 21. Just because people are 21 years old and they're not repeating some of the 18-year-old things, there's going to be the range of maturity level in like the age of 21, right? And so we're kind of trying to find the right people, and the Page of Pentacles can just making small gestures to people to get to know people. And just getting to know people to figure out what people's truth are. And as some of you are moving forward in that, other people could be in transition about this. And when they see that you've done this work to move forward and that you seem more independent and you're not indulging some people in poor behavior, it could help inspire them to see the truth of things that they've been dealing with and become more independent of ways that, it could just be how they belittle and berate themselves. And it's like, you have the free will to love yourself. Why not be loving and encouraging to yourself? Let the rest of the world, if they want to belittle and berate you, do that. You don't have any control over them. You only can control yourself. So how about choose to be a loving and compassionate person to yourself? And maybe you could inspire some other people to do that. What's coming up for some people who harness some high vibe Pisces energy? Moving forward with the people in their life who are working together with them in that energy, the Ace of Cups. Why? Because of the Ace of Pentacles. and the Six of Wands. The truth set you free. The Six of Wands moves away from the Five of Wands, which can be like the competition. You moved away from your more worldly nature because you were inspired by love. You offered love and inspiration to the people in your life. And some of those people were like, but I'm still more emotionally attached to my more worldly nature. And it's like, okay, well, I wish you peace. I'm moving on. And I think you'll have these new beginnings when you accept the truth and quit investing your time, energy, and effort into the people who aren't working together with you in truth and love and inspired to heal and grow and mature themselves and be more authentic and loving. It frees you up to find people in the world who are. So what's coming up for the people who might harness a more worldly, shadowy Pisces energy? Judgment. Why? Because of the Queen of Wands. Well, shadowy Queen of Wands, I view the Queen of Wands as Leo energy. What they don't see coming is other people have done this work within themselves to hold themselves accountable and hold other people accountable. To get out of their more worldly, egoic view of life, to be inspired to invest in their more hopeful, believing, loving nature. And some of these shadowy people never do that. Because, for one, they'd have to quit aligning with their more worldly, egoic nature. Again, of being more about themselves or more caught up in the illusion of the world and making decisions more with that in mind. Operating more from their ego, which can be, I don't want to do love. I'm defensive to love. I get hurt doing love. I want to offer people things more of the things of the world, which could be, I'll have sex with you, or I have money, status, image, power, I'm attractive, but I'm not going to do truth and love. And other people who've been in relationship with them see the truth of it. And the more high vibe people move on from them. And they judge them as being more defensive or egoic or manipulative or prideful or stubborn or immature. And they move on. And they could be really shocked because it's kind of like the devil can always be shocked when people won't make their life more about making their life just more about these things of the world. Why do you keep being inspired by truth and love? Damn. And same way some of the people we've been in a relationship with can't understand it. Because that's their truth. That's what drives and motivates them. That's what manipulates them. That's what's most important to them. And so they can't understand when people, it's like they could think you're immature and ridiculous. You don't know how this game of life works. You need to work with these things of the world. This is the most important thing. You have these illusions about life. And, it's like, you do you. And you go make decisions in your life, not from truth and love and listening to your intuition. You go ahead and live more from your mind than your heart and your ego. And you think you're so smart. I think you're going to have maybe a lot of things of the world might look very stable and abundant in a lot of ways. But if you're not operating from love, then it's not going to be a very loving relationship. You get in a relationship with someone who's loving. But I think eventually the loving people are going to move on because they want to be in a relationship with people who are more authentic and loving. And you're not. You think, I can use my emotions and my sexuality and my words and my charm and my looks or my money. I can use those things all manipulatively to get what I want. It's like, well, you do that then. We'll see how it works out for you. Ultimately, the people who are going to keep staying in relationship with them and some of the people they align with and maybe like a core group in their life are probably other people whose their truth is the same too. No, we don't really come out from behind our more defensive egoic nature to be more hopeful and believing in love. We kind of get in relationships maybe more for the status and the ego and the image, or where it's more about us being able to manipulate people, maybe use what we have to try to manipulate them to indulge us in a relationship. Well, I don't know that I think that's anything to be proud of, but that's how some people work. I'm glad that it's more about me. I'm glad those people don't love and believe in themselves. I'm glad those people, out of their fear and insecurity, keep investing in me and moving forward with me in a relationship. Wow, that must make you feel all warm and fuzzy inside. Or I know this person loves me, but I kind of manipulate them and control them and backstab them and do all this stuff to make them not love and believe in themselves and get them in fear and insecurity of trusting anyone else, so they decide to stay with the devil they're with, then go find the devil they don't know yet. Wow, you must be so proud of yourself. But they could be surprised. Again, shadowy people can try to present an illusion. I'm not more about myself. I'm not more materialistic. I'm not bossy and controlling and more about me. And they like to present that image in the world. And for a long time, people can buy into the illusion that the devil created, that they're loving. But as more and more time goes by, they could see that the people in their life who are more authentic, loving, warm, hopeful, believing, independent, are people they don't keep moving forward with, because they don't like to be in relationship with people who are more independent and love and believe in themselves, and could require them to be more authentic or just or fair or balanced in the relationship, because they're not balanced. They're tipped out of balance, operating more from their ego nature of either defensiveness or being kind of more about themselves, or being in it more for the worldly reasons. And the high vibe people in their life see the truth of it. I think you're in this more for these other reasons. And I don't think you're more authentically giving and loving and nurturing because of love. I think it's maybe more for these other reasons. And I don't want someone to be in a relationship with me more for these other reasons. Some people are very materialistic. And if there's someone who they think really has those things of the world, it doesn't matter what that person's like, they don't really care. You have those things of the world that I want. Or even more twisted, is someone whose biggest goal has totally lost sight of living their own life in a way. Maybe because they don't have hope and faith and belief in themselves or in love anyway. My whole goal in life is just to backstab the people somehow by what I do, who didn't keep indulging me in a relationship. If it will bother them for me to do whatever I'm doing, I'm going to do that. Because my only purpose is to backstab people who saw through the illusion of who I was and weren't willing to indulge me. I am so angry in my ego that those people saw the truth. And then everyone is just a pawn in their game, as they will not invest in truth and love and tempering their ego with someone who had wanted to be in a loving relationship with them. How dare you expect me to temper my ego? Everything I do will be to try to make you hurt. It's kind of like the devil with God, right? And God says, I'm not in my ego about it anymore. I know the truth of who you are. And I know you're kind of immature and petty and prideful and egotistical. I've already seen the truth of you, and I've moved on. And I'm working with the people in the world who do want to work together with me to bring a dream into reality. I'm offering them love. They're investing in truth and love. And we're going to give birth to something new. And you can keep doing this shit till the end of days if you want. You have the free will to do that. You can keep staying in angry, petulant, dead energy. We're going to go create something new, with or without you. And I think eventually over time, people kind of see who are the people who do seem, even though they try to hide it, who are the people who are more about themselves, more materialistic, willing to indulge people for things, or if they have more things, think people should indulge them. And who are the people who seem to really be loving and authentically encouraging of each other, not trying to manipulate and control each other, wanting the best for each other, inspired by love. And then they could be really mad because that's how they wanted to be viewed. And people don't view them like that. But they thought, oh, I can do these things and create this illusion, and I can do this and I can do that. But the world will still be more inspired by me, and judgment will go in favor of me. Well, judgment might go in their favor for a while, but there is a higher power at play, and eventually the truth comes out of who is who. So there you go, Pisces. I wish you peace, love, and joy, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.